Hitler and the New Age. By Philip Jones. Although the rainbow seems to be only a colored arc of light refracted through raindrops, to both Christians and New Agers it has a deeper meaning. According to the Bible, the rainbow is symbolic of God's everlasting covenant that he would never again destroy the earth by a flood. However, the New Age movement uses rainbows to signify their building of the Rainbow Bridge, Antahorana, between man and Lucifer who, they say, is the Oversoul. New Agers use the rainbow as a decoration, unaware of the growing popular acceptance of its occult meaning and hidden dangers. Constance E. Cumbay, The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow, 1983. Introduction. Many believe that the New Age movement is little more than a collection of old hippies, feminists, and wannabe mystics, chanting and praying to who knows what or why. But that is so far from the reality of what is in truth, nothing less than a cloak for Lucifer worship, in the form of a revived occult religion based on the Babylonian mysteries and the heretical Jewish Kabbalah. For the first time in history, there exists a movement that fulfills all the scriptural requirements for the coming of the Antichrist, and it is working together with its co-conspirators in the Illuminati, through the use of a myriad of means and subplots to drive their New World Order project to its logical conclusion, whilst we the people sleepwalk into their rainbow dictatorship. In Lucifer Rising, I introduced the connection between the Nazis and the New Age movement. In this article, I will elaborate further, and show that the New Age is in all respects, ideologically, a mirror image of National Socialism, and that far from being the peace-loving, brotherhood of man-promoting, all-inclusive pantheon of faiths and beliefs it will have us believe, it is at its core the worship of Lucifer, deeply racist, deceptive, exclusive and ultimately murderous in its intentions. The New Age movement, the Fourth Reich. One of the most glaring features of the New Age, is its ideological similarity to German National Socialism. The occult roots and nature of the religious philosophy at the heart of the Third Reich remained classified information for many years after the end of World War II. Could it be that the same demonic force behind Hitler's reign of terror, was that which moved the Allied powers to conceal from the public for decades the arcane mysticism which lay at the very foundations of the Nazi movement? Were they knowing participants in the plan as revealed by the High Priestess of the New Age, Alice Bailey III, in the 1930s? A significant portion of this plan dictates that the New World Order necessary for total world domination by the Christ, not Jesus Christ, and the Great White Brotherhood 9 would have to be established upon the foundations of a world severely traumatized by War 8. In its essence, the New Age movement can be clearly seen to be in many ways a revival of National Socialism. Like Nazism, the New Age is based upon a structure of initiates, adepts, and masters. High-level initiates always know more than low-level initiates. As in any large organization, most people quietly do their jobs without knowing the full nature of what they are involved with, or precisely where they personally fit in the greater scheme of things. Most of the rank and file of any large organization never get to see the big picture at all. Only those in higher management will understand the finer details and overall scope of the operation. It can be assumed therefore that a substantial number of those participating in the New Age movement are, although quite innocently involved with the best of intentions, unwitting cannon fodder in the war against God and his people. In the same way as the military functions on a need-to-know basis, the same is the case with the Illuminati and its fellow travelers in the New Age. Adolf Hitler, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, Daniel 8:24, KJV. Hitler was initiated into the mysteries of the occult at a young age. He attended a Benedictine monastery school near his home in Austria. The occult interests Hitler gained in this school, stayed with him all of his adult life and helped to shape his future spiritual philosophy. During his years as an aspiring artist and/or architect in Vienna, He often frequented occult bookstores and libraries, acquainting himself with the mysteries of metaphysics and making the acquaintance of occultic local adepts. He was fascinated by the theories of transcendent states of consciousness and mind expansion, and devoted much of what little money he had, and his time to the pursuit of higher states of consciousness. Impatient with such methods as yoga, astrology, Eastern and Western paths, he accelerated the process by supplementing meditation with drugs. He used mescaline to transport himself to the desired higher states of consciousness, which enabled him to experience what occultists term the Akashic record, a demonic version of historical and future events. His aim in taking this accelerated path was to gain a perspective on his own future destiny. Hitler believed he had made contact with Lucifer, and openly coveted possession. In 1938, he is said to have commented, "I have seen the Antichrist. He is cruel and intrepid. He frightened me." It was the prevailing neo-paganism which saturated the National Socialist movement which helped create the conditions which paved the way for the totalitarian collectivism of the Third Reich. The Nazi high priesthood, Hitler, Himmler, Rahn, Rosenberg, Hess, Feder, Sebet, et.al. were all ardent theosophists. And their esoteric societies, the Thule, Vril, Seekers of the Grail, etc. 7 were steeped in the same occultism and pantheism so prevalent in today's New Age and environmental movements. Hitler and the whole Nazi regime were deeply involved in the occult, and he believed that his was a divine mission on behalf of what he termed the ancient Aryan masters. The secret doctrine. One cannot argue against the claim that the Nazi worldview and major elements of the New Age movement are identical. They should be, after all, for they both grew out of the same occult root, theosophy. Their respective cosmogony, cosmology, and philosophies are identical. Joseph Carr, The Twisted Cross. The foundational theology of both Nazism and the New Age movement can be seen to be based on the book, The Secret Doctrine II, written by the founder of Theosophy, Helena P. Blavatsky, in 1888. This doctrine can be seen to be the very antithesis of Christian belief, insomuch as it glorifies Lucifer and all those abominations condemned by Yahweh in the Bible, hearkening back to the pre-Diluvian world, and the time of the fallen angels and the Nephilim. Genesis chapter 6, Records. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were upon the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. General 6:1-7. The Illuminati bloodline families 10 claim to be descended from these fallen angels, who they say taught them the ancient wisdom, also known as the Kabbalah, which they have been preserving throughout the centuries. The fallen angels are said to have descended to earth and intermarried with the daughters of men, who then gave birth to a hybrid race known as the Nephilim. Christian translations have traditionally struggled with the passage, choosing to translate Nephilim as mighty men. However, the apocryphal Jewish texts and the Book of Enoch explain that the sons of God were Lucifer and his legions, cast out of heaven, who took themselves wives from the female descendants of Cain. They produced the race known as the Nephilim, whose descendants were later referred to in the Old Testament as the Anakim or giants. According to the Illuminati, it is the fallen angels who first introduced humanity to the occult arts, including astrology, magic, and alchemy. This period in history is believed by occultists to accord with the time of the lost continent of Atlantis. The race produced by the intermixing of the fallen angels and humans, the Nephilim, is thought to be synonymous with the Aryans. Supposedly, their corruption caused great evil in the earth, to such an extent that, according to the apocryphal works, God decided to destroy them through the flood. The secret doctrine maintains that 7 races originated in Atlantis and that one of the 7 were the Aryans. Although there were supposedly 6 other Atlantean races, Toltecs, Rmohals, Tlavatli, Turanians, Akkadians, and Mongols, Blavatsky tells us that the Aryans were the master race or supermen of the Atlantean races. She writes, "They did not become supermen by ordinary evolution or mutation. They took a quantum leap upward in order to give them the necessary faculties to live in the post-diluvian world. While losing some qualities that were coveted, such as magical powers over the forces of nature and psychic development, they gained faculties of brain development and superior intelligence over the other surviving races who were supposedly inferior in blood stock and mental faculties. The Aryans were, according to Theosophic dogma, allegedly educated by God-men and taught to protect their superior blood stock from mongrelization at all costs. They were supposedly distinguished from the inferior races by their more highly evolved intellects. These, however, had supposedly been developed at the sacrifice of their spiritual powers in order to correct this deficiency and ensure that psychic powers were not lost to the Aryan race. A process of initiation was developed by the Masters. Initiation therefore became the prerequisite for leadership in Aryan society, as only the initiates or adepts could communicate with the so-called supermen who were needed to give direction to the race. This racial concept of Aryanism is an integral part of the New Age, as it was National Socialism, and other forms of racial prejudice. The Bible tells us that the Israelites were chosen by God to preserve His word in a time when the Babylonian mysteries, descended, we are to believe from Atlantis, had disseminated far and wide through polytheism and pantheism. It should be noted by New Agers and other detractors from the Holy Scriptures that the Bible specifies very plainly that all men are of one blood. Where the Christian doctrine prevails and is adhered to, that all men are created equal in the image of God, then it is hard to maintain racism and anti-Semitism. But, with ideological doctrines such as those found in Nazism and the New Age, espousing theories that men have evolved from differing root races and are at varying stages of evolutionary development, it becomes very easy to justify classification and prejudice. Genocidal pogroms become the logical conclusion. The myth of the master race. Doctrines of Aryan superiority were at the very core of Nazism. They were used as a justification for religious persecution. It was not only Jews, but also Christians included on Hitler's hit list. The New Age has a slightly altered agenda. Christians first, Jews next, then finally Muslims will be dealt with. All of these groups are marked for persecution. At the occult core of their dogma, New Agers maintain the arcane Aryan doctrine of a blood taint resting upon Jews. Alice A. Bailey III, whose 27 books clearly illustrate the occult bias against Jews, wrote in 1949. Today the law karma is working, and the Jews are paying the price, factually and symbolically, for all they have done in the past. Factually and symbolically, they stand as they have ever chosen to stand, for separation. Evil is defined by Alice Bailey as separation. They regard themselves as the chosen people and have an innate consciousness of that high destiny, forgetting their symbolic role, and that it is humanity which is the chosen people and not one small and unimportant fraction of the race. The theme of Aryan purity of blood is found throughout Bailey's books. Bailey disciple and New Age guru, David Spangler attempts to deny the obvious by stating that this was a different form of Aryanism than that subscribed to by Hitler. Perhaps I should say here that what I mean by the Aryan race is not the blonde, blue-eyed Superman that Hitler was speaking of, or the Germanic race. The Aryan term is a generic term that refers to that group of people which migrated millennia ago from Asia, and spread throughout Africa and Europe. But let's not be fooled by Spengler's prevaricating. The Aryan race he speaks of is one and the same as Hitler's, and like Hitler, his perspective is pulled entirely from the pages of Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine. Drawing parallels. One can draw many parallels between the pre-war climate that gave rise to Nazism and those conditions now existing. The German people had experienced the mass trauma effect of wartime defeat and post-war inflation with its accompanying hardships. German youth, looking for an escape from the harsh times, turned to Eastern mysticism along with Germanic and Nordic mythology, where they were told that defeat was only one version of reality or consciousness. The United States in particular and the whole of the West generally finds itself in a very similar situation today. Western economies have long been in dire straits, and particularly since the end of the Vietnam War, there has been a massive orientation amongst the Western intelligentsia and youth towards Eastern mysticism, with the route to transcendental consciousness accelerated by the widespread use of drugs, as was also the case in post-WWI Germany. The New Age has profited greatly from this development and has of course sponsored and welcomed the trend, but others, conservatives and Christians in particular, have rightly viewed it with alarm. Jean-Michel Angebird states in the book The Occult and the Third Reich, the Hitlerian myth can be understood only if viewed in the context of the particular philosophical system that produced it, which is itself but one link in an historical tradition going back over centuries. Those who induced Germany to embrace the swastika are not dead. They are still among us, just as they have been in every era, and doubtless will continue to be until the apocalypse. National Socialism was for them but a means, and Hitler was but an instrument. The undertaking failed. What they are now trying to do is revive the myth using other means. The New Age and National Socialism are both systems for expediting the way to transcendental consciousness, ultimately, for the intended transformation of whole populations through their initiation into the mysteries. Such mysteries and pagan rituals were introduced into the very mainstream of the German nation during Hitler's time in power. Himmler's elite SS were initiated into the pagan mysteries, cloaked in Aryan Holy Grail gnosis, the aim being to enable the initiate to gain psychic abilities and superhuman strength. The Bureau of the Occult was created as both a part of the established German government and also as a separate bureau. The Nazis believed in the arcane doctrine known as the macrocosm/microcosm theory of the universe. This is also an intrinsic aspect of New Age belief. New Age Gnostics acknowledge the existence of ascended masters who are organized into a hierarchy headed by a New Age Messiah. The Nazis similarly believed in the existence of a hierarchy of masters headed by a New Age Christ whom they believed to be Adolf Hitler. New Ager John White said in the introduction to the 1979 International Cooperation Council Directory, now known as the Unity in Diversity Council, what is coming to pass today is not a generation gap or a communications gap. Rather, it is a species gap. A new species is making its way onto the planet and asserting its right to life. This inevitably brings it into conflict with the dominant species. And that dominant species is a dying species. Homo noeticus is the name I give to the emerging form of humanity. Compare the above with what Hitler had to say. Creation is not yet completed. Man must pass through many further stages of metamorphosis. Post-Atlantean man is already in a state of degeneration and decline, barely able to survive. All creative forces will be concentrated in a new species. The two types of man, the old and the new, will evolve rapidly in different directions. One will disappear from the face of the earth, the other will flourish. This is the real motive behind the National Socialist movement. The Spear of Destiny by Trevor Ravenscroft. Connecting the dots. The New Age movement's structure can be seen to resemble that of Nazi Germany inasmuch as it is not constructed in a manner we would easily recognize as being an organization, but rather as a web of smaller webs containing some preeminent organizations at its core around which the others revolve. What identifies this particular form of organization as being so effective, is that whenever any sub-organization or individual steps out of line and becomes an embarrassment, as was the case with Jim Jones 5, they can quickly close up their net-like structure to deny and exclude that person or organization as ever having been in any way connected with the movement as a whole or in part. In the following paragraphs, we will consolidate what we have learned so far and then identify the direct correlations between National Socialism and the New Age movement and draw conclusions accordingly. National Socialism was far more than a mere political movement. It was the pagan expression of a pantheon of occult arcane practices and esoteric teaching. Hitler was an open admirer of Madame Blavatsky and her works, The Secret Doctrine in particular. The Nazis had a Bureau of the Occult as part of the German government under Hitler, known as the SS Occult Bureau. Nazism preached Aryanism and Aryan racial purity and that the future New Age would feature an evolved Aryan master race. The Nazis believed the roots of their Aryanism were first found in Atlantis, and that a new superior mutant species of Aryan man could be brought into existence by development of higher consciousness. The New Age movement is based entirely on arcane practices and teachings, and especially on the secret doctrine of Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, and later Alice A. Bailey, who insisted that she was channeling messages from the Tibetan master, demon, Jilkul. All forms of occultism and mind expansion are permitted and actively encouraged within the New Age movement. Again, like the Nazis, the New Age emphasizes Aryanism and Aryan racial purity. New Agers believe that through transcendental meditation and other spiritual disciplines that they have become a new species they name Homo noeticus and that Homo sapiens is an endangered species. The New Agers trace their secret doctrine and occult teachings to Atlantis. They, like the Nazis, believe a new superior mutant species of Aryans can be brought into existence by the development of higher consciousness. National Socialism had at its very core a doctrine of racial purity. The Nazis believed that all human breeding should be controlled by the state. They operated free maternity homes using the controlled selection method of breeding, in order to ensure that the purity of their master race was maintained. The Nazis instituted a program of quietly killing mental patients and children with birth defects. Hitler instituted this program after receiving a letter from the father of a deformed child requesting that the child be put to death. The New Age advocates that people be licensed before they are allowed to have children. The deeply New Age friends of the Earth are particularly vocal in this regard. The New Agers have an operation known as the Farm in Tennessee, which has a free maternity home, and women are told they can leave their babies there for as short or as long a period as they like. However, it is almost impossible from a legal standpoint to regain custody of a child left for a long period of time. National Socialism saw the mythical quest for the Holy Grail not as being in any way related to Christianity, but as being a path to a transcendental higher consciousness. They believed in karma and reincarnation, and sought to activate the Luciferic force. Hitler believed that initiation into National Socialism was the vehicle by which the German nation would evolve into a new and superior species, incorporating spiritual disciplines and the evolution of consciousness. The New Age tells us that entrance into the New Age requires a Luciferic initiation. The New Age movement, like the Nazis, features the quest for the Holy Grail as a path to transcendental or higher consciousness. New Agers believe in the law of karma and reincarnation. David Spangler, one of the leading New Age gurus, states that the Luciferic energies are positive as they are the energy of anticipation and the energies that get a person from here to there. National Socialism preached a new world order in which the Aryan race would predominate over the other root races. Nazism was a synthesis of occultism and Gnosticism, based on the secret doctrine, and a synthesis of the old Babylonian mystery teachings and Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. Nazi adepts believed the gods lived in mythical Shambhala. The New Age seeks the institution of a new world order in which Aryanism will prevail. The New Age movement is a synthesis of occultism and Gnosticism, based on the secret doctrine, and a synthesis of Eastern religions with the Babylonian mysteries. Just as with National Socialism, New Age initiates believe the gods are established in Shambhala. National Socialism and Hitler came to power with the support of the international bankers and by appealing locally to the German money class, convincing them that a Nazi regime would increase control and efficiency, whilst at the same time leading the poor to believe that a National Socialist Germany would provide them with sufficient resources to exist on. The New Age has obtained the support of the rich and powerful, such as the Rockefeller-controlled Chase Manhattan Bank, the Canadian multi-millionaire Maurice Strong, and heads of major corporations, by assuring them that the New Age is good for entrepreneurship and business. Similarly, it has seduced the poor with promises of wealth redistribution. National Socialism, with Luciferianism as its spiritual foundation, was not surprisingly hostile to Orthodox and fundamentalist Christianity and sought to replace the cross with the swastika. Heinrich Himmler, the leader of the SS, who was obsessed with the occult, like many other Nazis, had an extreme anti-Catholic bias. He even went so far as to advocate the public execution of the Pope and to compel Catholic SS members to leave the Roman Catholic faith, and required them to go through occult initiation rites. The New Age movement is openly hostile to Orthodox and fundamentalist Christianity and also seeks to replace the cross, in this case with the rainbow and the swastika. See image at top of page 1. The New Agers call their scheme to take over the plan the somewhat mythical and absent Lord Maitreya calls it my plan. The writings of Cream, Spangler, Bailey, and other important New Agers state we will be forced to undergo a Luciferic initiation if we wish to enter the New Age, or perish. National Socialism, in line with Hitler's Mein Kampf, propagated that the problem with Christianity lay with its Jewish antecedents. New Age writers say the problem with Christianity is that it has presented a teaching of Christ straight out of the old and outworn Jewish dispensation. Benjamin Cream, the spokesman for the Terror Center and Maitreya the Christ, has publicly stated that the Pope will be forced to bend his knee to Maitreya. Hatred of Catholicism shines through the Alice Bailey's writings, which are still followed meticulously by New Agers, as if carved in stone. National Socialism held as core tenets a Gnostic doctrine of a Jewish blood taint and the need for a final solution to the Jewish problem. The New Age, in concert with Alice Bailey's writing, teaches that Jews are from a different solar system and that Orientals and blacks are from a different root race. Their ideology dictates that the Occidental races must control the world as they are presently our most evolved root race. The secret doctrine features a deep hatred of the Jews. The writings of Alice Bailey state that the new Messiah will not be Jewish, as the Jews have forfeited that privilege and that they must pass through the fires of purification in order to learn humility. See The Rays and the Initiations by Alice A. Bailey. The New Age propagates the message that what happened to the Jewish people in World War II was a result of their bad national karma. In effect, they brought it on themselves. National Socialism stormtroopers, the S.A. Brown Shirts, were organized for the purpose of maintaining National Socialist order and were trained in unarmed combat and used in many and varied guard-type operations. The SS, Schutzstaffel, were another thing altogether and were inducted into the order by way of a pagan-style initiation ceremony. The New Age has, through Curtis Sliwa, encouraged the organization of young men and women into the Guardian Angels for the purpose of patrolling cities and neighborhoods. Just as it was with the SA, the Guardian Angels are also trained in martial arts. Reminiscent of the SS, members of the U.S. military New Age-oriented 1st Earth Battalion are initiated in a pagan-style initiation ceremony. National Socialism encouraged the recruitment and use of convicts for a multitude of purposes within the framework of which they were indoctrinated with National Socialist dogma. The New Age, again like the Nazis, encourages the recruitment and use of convicts. The book Signs of Christ by Harold Baliaz specifically mentions it, and there are many New Age projects designed specifically for the recruitment and conditioning of convicts in order to orient them to New Age goals. National Socialism advocated and practiced euthanasia, particularly in the case of undesirables, the useless, retarded and the subhuman root races, which included Negroes, Slavs, Gypsies, and a host of others. The New Age has repeatedly and vigorously advocated and supported the legislative and medical practices of euthanasia and the termination of life support systems. One rationale given for this is the inability of parents to support children with such immense needs. The New Agers believe that a cleansing action will be necessary to rid the world of evil, defined as anything that causes separation. Separation is defined as caused by God-fearing religions, Jews, Christians, and Muslims. In The Occult and the Third Reich, the author writes, "If I possessed fewer scruples, I could have easily whited out every reference to Nazism, the Third Reich, and Germany, and replaced it with the New Age movement, a worldwide phenomenon, and re-released it as an up-to-date, authoritative text on the New Age. There was absolutely no question about it. The cosmology and cosmogony of the New Age movement and Nazism were identical. From the master race theory through evolution through swastikas, there was total identity between these two political movements. Tibetan Buddhism and Theosophy played an important role in each. Initiates, adepts, and masters were an important part of each. Conclusion. The New Age movement is only one visible face of the Illuminati Brotherhood, or Mariah, yet it is increasingly an acceptable face, and it has spread its influence globally. Christians, Jews, and Muslims should be in no doubt that the New Age movement is the Church of Lucifer, and that we, the believers, are considered the undesirables in need of cleansing. Albert Pike, the 19th century Freemason, wrote about 3 world wars to bring in the New World Order, and we have already had 2 of them. The current manufactured and manipulated financial crisis is only the softener for what is to come. One more Hegelian catastrophe of hitherto unseen dimensions is all that is needed to cause the whole earth to cry out in agony, begging for peace and a new world order at any cost. But that cost will be much higher than most could ever imagine, and I am not talking about money. The New Age movement appears to be the instrument the Illuminati, on behalf of their Dark Lord, will use to catapult their chosen one to power. He is Lucifer's man, the expected and anticipated Antichrist. Once entrenched with all opposition quashed, he will forcibly unite all cults and religions into one, and finally, the whole world will be in the grip of the adversary himself. Then the cleansing will begin. For a complete and detailed expose of the New Age movement, The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow by Constance E. Combay is a must-read. Ref. http://philologos.org/eb-trs/nac.htm 1. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/theosophy 2. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/the_secret_doctrine 3. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Alice_Bailey 4. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Methreya_left_theosophy 5. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Jim_Jones 6. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/Nazi_occultism 7. http://www.bertinarchives.com/web/n/archives/advanced /kala-chakras/shamhala/connection_shamhala_tibet.html 8. http://www.renzi.com/general86/pikenew.htm 9. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/great_white_brotherhood 10. http://www.bibliotecapeliads.net/bloodlines/index.htm